Right guys, welcome back to the channel, and today has seen some very exciting news for Warhammer 40,000 8th edition. It's seen some of the profiles of some weapons come out on the community page. I will post a link to this to the page down below. And it brings up quite a few interesting questions. It does look as though they're kind of going down the route of Age of Sigmar, but still leaving some strength and toughness elements and stuff in there. They haven't said exactly how it's going to work yet. But from what I've seen, the stats with the Marines that have come out and the Dreadnoughts, combined with the rend characteristics, the damage and things like that of the weapon profiles that have come up today, it does look very, very similar to Age of Sigmar. But those of you saying, oh, it's Age of Sigmar, 2nd edition was a lot like this. I've only played 2nd and 7th and I'm quite excited about this, to be honest. So what I've done is I've set up a kind of mini battle report with the rules that we know so far to see how things like the las cannon and stuff work against the Dreadnought toughness profile as opposed to the hull points characteristic. Now obviously we don't know things like combat or cover saves and things like that at this point, so it is purely experimental based on what we know at the moment, and I'll explore some possibilities that might come out. Let us know what you think though, but yeah, let's go and have a quick look through what we've got on each side and get to the battle. Right, so here we go folks. I've done kind of the best I can because we don't know points or anything. I'm basically running two identical lists here. So what we've got is we've got a Dreadnought on each side, one represented by the Death Company one and one on this side, with a las cannon. And I'm going to say a Stormbolter. We haven't gotten the rules for a Stormbolter, but I'm going to hazard a guess it's pretty much the same. The rules for the bolt guns are pretty much the same, apart from there's no AP value and there's no rend characteristic on it, which means it doesn't reduce the opponent's armor save. I've stuck a Flamer in this 5-man squad and a Flamer in this 5-man squad, and there's a las cannon in each of the other tactical squads there as well. So I'm going to go as far as I can and talk about maybe cover saves and things like that. It's going to be very interesting because of course the Dreadnoughts are toughness 7, 3 up armor save and 8 wounds each. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go. Now I don't know whether the las cannon, as an example, it's strength 9. Will that double out something that is toughness 4, like a Terminator which now has 2 wounds? Is instant death going to be a thing, or is it going to be like Age of Sigmar, where your wounds can just continue being allocated? Interesting questions. So, I haven't rolled off to see who's going first or anything, so we'll roll for that side. They get a 5 and this side gets a 3. So, I'm just going to play through a game. I'm not going to do much of the assault phase, if any, because we don't know the specific rules for it. Now, let's assume that everything else in the game has remained the same. We don't know if there's a move through cover or anything for vehicles or what have you, but Dreadnoughts can move 6 inches, so let's say you can move to there. And then of course these guys are going to push forward 6 inches. Because you want to get the Flamer within range, it's only got an 8-inch range on there. So, we're going to go for shooting. Now as you can see, this las cannon here can see across to this Dreadnought, but there is some cover in the way. Now normally it would get a cover save, but we don't know if cover saves are going to give you a plus to your cover save, like what Age of Sigmar does. In Age of Sigmar you've also got to be in the cover, not behind it. So I'm not going to play any of that cover, but it is interesting to find out whether or not that would be a factor. For example, this Dreadnought has a 3 up armor save. This las cannon essentially rends at -3, giving this guy a 6 up save. But if he's behind cover, he might get a +1 or +2 save. You don't know at this stage. So I'm not going to play it as though he gains any buff to his save at all. So we're going to go straight in with shooting phase. Let's say that this las cannon here is going to shoot the Dreadnought. Ballistic skill is kind of like what it was, but apart from rolling on the table, it just tells you what you need to hit on. Now they have said that there will be modifiers. So of course I've rolled a 3 there. As the rules stand, I do hit. The cover that I mentioned might have -1 to hit, or it could be plus to armor save. We don't know, but it's still an interesting thought that might have affected this in the instance of me rolling a 3. Now the Dreadnought is toughness 7, the las cannon is strength 9, so it wounds on a 2, I roll a 5. Now, the Dreadnought would normally have a 3-up save, so Ren -3 drops it to a 6, which strangely enough I actually pass. Let's say it doesn't pass though, let's say I rolled a 5. The las cannon does d6 damage for 4 hull points. So that Dreadnought is down to now 4 wounds, sorry, not hull points. For the sake of other things, let's say that the rest of the squad is going to shoot the bolt guns, so that's 4 shots hitting on 3s. Again, 2 3s there, but we don't know if the cover save is going to modify it. I need 6s, because I'm strength 4, toughness 7. I get 1, which means the Dreadnought has a 3-up save, which he fails on a 2. So he's now down to 3 wounds. I don't want to kill the Dreadnought off yet though, because I want to see how things pan out. So the other Dreadnought, the black one there, is going to shoot at the squad up here. So he's got twin linked las cannon, hits on a 5. Again, there's cover in the way, so we don't know whether or not that's going to modify it. The las cannon wounds on a 2, and I roll a 1, so nothing happens there. And he's going to fire his Stormbolt this, so hitting on 3s, so 1 miss, wounding on 4s, that's a wound. Now bolt guns don't have any rends, so the Marine gets his full 3-up armour, which he fails, and these dice hate me already. And down here, we've got a Flamer, 8-inch range, isn't within range, so you know what, let's run them forward. Now, run might happen at the same time as movement, we don't know yet. It's a 2-inch run, so not great. Let's just push them up a little bit further. Right, over to this side. So this Dreadnought, bearing in mind he's now down to 3 wounds. You don't know what that means at the minute. Now we know that obviously it's going to make things, basically as things take damage it's going to be harder for them to be as effective. He might lose a ballistic skill now, he might lose an attack, we don't know. Again, so if he's lost a ballistic skill, you know, he might only now hit on 4s. If cover saves are adding another -1, he might now only hit on 5s with his las cannon, which I think is quite interesting. It's a lot smoother than what the current edition of 40k is working out. Obviously your ballistic skill, then your cover save, then your arm penetration, and it's just nice and easy. So, twin link las cannon. Well, I've got a 3 and a 4, so I'm hoping that the 4 would hit if, you know, there's any modifiers for being wounded, and of course I'm shooting at that Dreadnought. And our wound, that is a 4. The Dreadnought over there, we don't know again any cover saves, but we know he's got a 6-up armor saves because the las cannon is Ren -3, which he fails for d6 damage of 6. So he's down to 2 wounds already. Now, the effectiveness of las cannons there is brilliant. I love that a las cannon can just go straight through the hull of a Dreadnought, tear its arm off, or something like that. But the Dreadnought can still move, he can still move, you know, operate, not to full effectiveness, but you're not blowing them up like what you did with armor in 7th edition, which I think is fantastic. And I've just skipped ahead. So let's move these guys forward. And at this point, I'm going to rapid fire them. So we'll have 8 bolter shots. And then, so we're hitting on 3s because the ballistic skill for Marines is 3+. So then we're wounding on 4s because it's strength and toughness 4. And then these Marines have a 3-up armor save. So one of them dies. Let's kill him off. Down there, we've got another single las cannon and 3 bolt guns. So the las cannon's going to try and get lucky and take out the Dreadnought. So I roll a 1, I miss. And then I've got 3 bolt guns, so 2 hit needing 6s because strength 4, toughness 7 rather, and that's nothing. So that's it for turn 1. Turn 2 we're going to go back over here. So these guys are going to move forward, of course. Dreadnought, who's to say that he's now not, you know, mortally wounded? He might only move 3 inches now that he's damaged. Again, we don't really know for certain, but I do like the idea of him slowing down as he's taking more damage. Now you've seen there, the bolt fire exchange between the Dreadnoughts did very, very little. But the las cannons, promising. If you roll well, if you don't roll so well, yeah, you know, you've still done, you've got a good chance of doing damage. Now it's interesting to think that if a Dreadnought has 8 wounds, how many is a Knight going to have? Is a Knight going to have 16 to 20 wounds? You know, 3 hull points versus 6 hull points, so double the number of wounds. It's interesting. So, this guy will shoot his last cannon down here, but again, as you notice, they've got 2 squads and the rocks in the way, plus he's also damaged. So, would you get a negative modifier to your ballistic skill? For being damaged is the question, first of all, kind of like behemoths in Age of Sigmar. Second of all, do you get a minus to your to hit modifier because there's cover in the way, such as other models or rocks? Either way, we're going to ignore that and just use the normal to hit rolls as it is. So the Dreadnought hits this one on a 3, twin linked because of the last cannon, and of course he misses. And he's got 2 shots from his Stormbolter, which both hit. Double 6, 2 wounds. So this Dreadnought has a 3 up armor save, and he passes them both. Now, we're going to shoot with this last cannon at this Dreadnought as well. So it hits, and it wounds because it's strength 9, toughness 7, and it does. This Dreadnought has a 6 up armor save, which he fails. Now he's only on 3 wounds, so this last cannon could kill him in 1 shot, and that is 4 damage, which kills that Dreadnought. There doesn't appear at the minute to have been revealed any mechanics for explosions or for when vehicles are wrecked, so we're just going to remove him as though he was a monstrous creature. Now, we've also now got these guys. Now, flamers work a little bit differently from the profiles. It's just D6 automatic hits within 8 inches. So, D6 hits, and I'll get unlucky, unfortunately, and only roll a 2. But it is strength 4, that's 1 wound, and a 3 up save, which I pass. And let's say there's then 3 bolters. Bolt pistols rather, so 3 hits, 1 wound, and 1 passed armor save. Now, I'm not going to assault them, because we don't know how assaults work, other than the charging unit goes first. We don't know how they're going to retaliate or anything like that. In this instance, in 7th edition, if you both charge, you're both hitting each other at the same time. So there's a good chance that you're probably going to do the same amount of damage to each other. Obviously, they would get an extra attack. In this instance, though, these guys would go first. Kind of like what Blood Angels do if you take a Battle Strike Force, they swing at initiative 5. We also don't know if there's any Overwatch, so again, I can't really work that out. But we'll move back over to the official Blood Angel team. So we'll move these forward. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about the Dreadnought, and obviously I've got some Marines here that I need to deal with. So what we're going to do, the last cannon is going to shoot at that Dreadnought. Hits. Wounds, which means the Dreadnought has a 6+ armor save. Again, there's cover in the way, so we don't know if that's going to be a modifier. The Dreadnought fails, and it does D6 damage for just the 1. So I got very unlucky there, which leaves that Dreadnought on 1 wound. We're then going to rapid fire with the 6 bolt guns, see if we can take them out. Now we do need 6s. Now it is good the bolters can at least hurt them now, and we get nothing. So down here, D6 flamer hits for 5, so that's not too shabby. Wounded on 4s, and then 3 up armor save on the Marines, and we kill just the 1. Now it doesn't say whether or not it's closest model. Again, we don't know the ins and outs of that, so I'm going to say it is the closest model. And then we're going to rapid fire the bolt guns at the Marines. Now again, we don't know if there's split fire like what there is in Age of Sigmar, so I'm directing these at these guys here. So that's 3 saves to make. And that's another failed one. So, as a result of that, it will be back over to these guys for turn 3. You can kind of get the idea where this is going. Now, let's say they don't do anything to this side. Nothing happens, blah, blah, blah. Let's see if these guys here can take down this dreadnought. In fact, let's go with it. So, D6 flamer hits for 3. 4s, nothing. And 1 rapid fire bolt gun hitting on 3s. 1 wound, 1 armor save. And then let's say that these guys all fire at them as well. So las cannon hits, wounds on a 6. Now it does D6 damage, but the Marines have a 6-up armor save, which he fails. Now it's not like Age of Sigmar where the damage would roll over onto the next one. So if I've done 6 to the squad, it doesn't kill the entire squad. It just kills the one model, which I do like. Of course, then we've got 4 bolter shots because we're not within rapid fire range. That's 1 wound and 1 past armor save. You notice I'm not doing morale checks or anything. Again, they've mentioned that the potential of it is going along with the bravery stat line, kind of like what Age of Sigmar is, where you would take a leadership check at the end of any combats or possibly the end of the turn to see if you lose additional models. Don't know if I like that mechanic for 40k. I don't get the idea that the models would run from the battlefield. I think having them fleeing on the battlefield is probably a better go. Now, let's go back with these guys. So, what we could actually do is to represent something here that wouldn't normally happen. And the reason I'm doing this is to show you. Normally this flamer would only hit the dreadnought once. With the new rules, you get D6 hits. So I rolled a 5. The flamer alone is getting 5 hits on that dreadnought. Gets 1 wound, and the dreadnought passes his save. And then we've got the bolters as well. So in this instance, let's have a look. So nothing there from the bolters. In this instance, the flamer against the single model was actually very, very good. Now, if you've got an assault squad, for example, with 2 flamers on a single dreadnought is much better than having a tactical squad stood in front, rapid firing to hit on 3s. You're getting D6 automatic hits. Yes, you could roll low, but it's an interesting kind of mechanic that you've got going on there. So I'm really, really excited for this because obviously the multiple damage from the las cannon, the multiple hits against a single target from the flamers, it's all very exciting stuff, and I can't wait to see what else they release. I will be trying to cover the rules as they come out and hopefully get a couple of more example games like this as more rules come forth. So let me know what your thoughts are on this down below. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little kind of walkthrough of the rules that we know so far. So thanks very much for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time.